Welcome to 21st Sports, and we're talking the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles and their Week 3 matchup played September 25th, 2016, as it was the Battle of Pennsylvania, and both teams entered this game undefeated. And I believe it's the first time in something like 76 years or something like that, maybe even longer. But it's been a long time since these two storied franchises have hooked up in both been undefeated when that happened. So in this game, you expected it to be a really tight one, and actually heading into the game, the Steelers were favored, but the Eagles, they showed that they are a team to be reckoned with, and Carson Wentz showed that if there's any doubt, well, doubt has been erased that he is for real. This kid can play. Going against this tough Steelers defense, he led the Eagles to 34 points, and the Eagles defense shut down the Steelers. Also, some good play from their special teams, the blocked field goal. But let's get into the scoring. And it all started off with Caleb Sturgis. He hit a 29-yard field goal to put the Eagles up 3-0. That was the only score in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, Carson Wentz hooks up with Jordan Matthews for a 12-yard touchdown pass, and it was 10-0 Philadelphia over Pittsburgh. Then, about midway through the second, Chris Boswell put the first points on the board for the Steelers, their first and only points. That was a 40-yard field goal that made it 10-3. He had a field goal already blocked at this point in the game, but Caleb Sturgis would get his second field goal of the game just before the 2-minute warning, about half a minute before the 2-minute warning. He had a 38-yard field goal that made it 13-3 as the Eagles extended their lead back to double digits before halftime. Then in the third quarter, the Eagles went off 3 touchdowns in the third as they scored 24 unanswered points going back to that field goal before halftime. But here in the third, it was Carson Wentz hooking up with Darren Sproles for a 73-yard touchdown. Sproles had quite the day as he made some nice plays, including that huge 73-yard touchdown that made it 20-3 Eagles over the Steelers. And then we had Wendell Smallwood with a 1-yard touchdown run to make it 27-3. And then finally, Kenjon Barner with an 8-yard touchdown run that made it 34-3, and that would be the final score. Is the Eagles win this one in a rout. They win the Battle of Pennsylvania, and they remain undefeated on the season, and they hand the Steelers their first loss of the season. So quite a dominant performance by Philadelphia, and they have erased all the questions of if they are for real or not. Especially the Steelers, they looked really good in the first 2 games of the season. Yes, the season has just started. It's only the first month of the season, but even still, the Steelers were looking really strong, as we know they have offense, and their defense has been playing really good. But here in this game, though, the Eagles, wow, I can't believe how they shut down that Steelers offense and how they were also able to put up all those points against this Steelers defense. So really a spectacular performance by the Eagles in this game. And they are in first place there in the NFC East, and they made quite the statement that they are a team to be reckoned with here in 2016. But Carson Wentz in this game, 23 for 31, 301 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Smallwood had 17 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown, and Barner with 8 carries for 42 yards and a touchdown. Darren Sproles had 6 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown to be the game's leading receiver, even though he's not a receiver, but he sure can catch the ball, and he sure got the moves. But you look at the Steelers' numbers, Ben Roethlisberger, 24 for 44, 257 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then D'Angelo Williams, 8 carries for just 21 yards. As you can see that the Steelers are definitely missing Le'Veon Bell. But Antonio Brown, 12 catches for 140 yards. He's the one bright spot for the Steelers, although he did not get into the end zone in this game. When we look at the defense for Philadelphia, McLeod had an interception. Fletcher Cox with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Graham had a sack, and Logan had a sack as well. And we look at the first downs. 25 first downs for the Eagles, just 15 for the Steelers. On fourth down, 4 for 10 for Philadelphia, 40% conversion rate. 4 for 11 for Pittsburgh, 36% conversion rate. Both teams not having a lot of success on third down, although 40 is an okay number. But 0 for 2 for Pittsburgh on their 2 attempts at fourth down conversions. Both failed. Total net yards, 426 for Philly and 251 for the Berg. And then in the net rushing yards, 125 for the Eagles, just 29 net rushing yards for the Steelers, as that really was a very dominant performance by the running game and by the running defense of Philadelphia in this game. They also had those 4 sacks on Roethlisberger as well. And we look at the penalties, a decent amount of penalties in this game, especially the Eagles, 10 penalties for 99 yards, but it didn't make a difference though. And there were 7 penalties against the Steelers for 77 yards. They did have the 2 fumbles, 1 they recovered, 1 they lost. And then you look at the red zone, 3 for 5 for Philadelphia, 60%. And for Pittsburgh, they were 0 for 2 in the red zone, as that's very uncharacteristic of the Steelers. But that Eagles defense really stepping up big time in this game. And also the time of possession, 34 minutes, 56 seconds for the Eagles, first 25 minutes and 4 seconds for the Steelers. So quite the performance by the Eagles. Not at all what I expected. I thought the Steelers were going to win this game heading into it. But the Eagles definitely making a huge statement. They are showing that they are for real. Carson Wentz, he keeps playing like this, and he's a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. Of course, it's only 3 games in, and there's plenty of football left to play, and anything can happen. But the Eagles are looking really good right now. And percentage-wise, I'm pretty sure it's about 76% chance when you're 3-0 to make the playoffs. So things are looking really good for the Eagles, and it's been a long time coming. They've suffered through a lot of tough seasons, and so far this season is going really good for the Eagles. Pittsburgh, tough loss, but I believe they will bounce back. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, out of any team, they are a team that bounces back well when they have losses like this. So I wouldn't get too down if you're a Steelers fan, as I'm sure they'll be back in the win column before you know it. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Which plays and performances stuck out to you? Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.